All right, well, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. Andrew File over at EMP. So good to be with you. And this is session 2. So, just a context again. Obviously, you all know CEDP in some form or fashion, but as we continue to grow as an organization and as a collaborative kind of space, one of the things that we've talked about is how do we continue to make sure that we're clear about what is the CEDP about? What are our frameworks? What are the skills that we bring to the table in Fresno? What sets us apart than anybody else? You'll hear my kid yell in the background every once in a while. But what sets us apart? And one of the things that we really value is being place-based. And not only being place-based, but as we enter to the spaces in our community, that we actually have an asset-based kind of framework, that we would see the people in our communities, see the institutions, see the spaces, see the culture of our neighborhoods, and see them as gifts that are going to be can be tapped into, can be known, and can create flourishing in our community. So that's the framework that we've been just continuing to state over and over. Is what does that actually mean? It's one thing to say we're asset based, it's another thing to do it. And so our first session, I'll give it over to Daniel and Herman and they'll give a little more context, but our first session was setting up kind of a vision. And then this time we're really going to give you some tools. This is going to be very interactive. You're all going to get in breakouts. You're going to become an expert in subject matter, and you're going to share that with others. So this is going to be a lot of conversation. We don't believe, even part of asset based, is we actually believe that you have answers, that you have knowledge, and that you get to pass that around with us. So we're going to model that as we do our time this morning. One thing I do want to highlight, just that you all know, I think some of you may have got this email, some of you may have not, but our wonderful Andy Lambert created a new CEDP website. So I just put it in the chat there. If you haven't already checked it out, go ahead and do that. And if you see, I don't think there's any mistakes, but if you see any mistakes, you can let Andy know, or anything that you think, oh, this would be really helpful to have. But it's really a great place that tells you more about us. So we have an About Us page that kind of gives the history and the context. And then we also have a partners page. And so that has, all the different groups that you all represent and are a part of. So really cool, really great tool. When people say, what the heck is the CDP? You can now send them our website and we are official. So just want to make sure you all saw that. So without further ado, if you haven't already, put in the chat your name and your organization. And then you're going to get to know each other in breakouts. So you'll do some introductions there. We're not going to spend time and go around right now, but we will here in a little bit. So I'm going to give it over to Herman and Daniel of EMP.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, great job, by the way, Andy, on that website. It was phenomenal. Hey, happy Wednesday. Second session of our workshop on community engagement. Yeah, so it's a quick recap. We touched on the philosophy, right? The philosophical approach of ABCD, an asset-based approach to your community engagement, to your planning of initiatives, to your capacity building as an organization. We focus a lot on anchoring your org as a place-based organization. We went through some of the conversation about an asset-based approach versus a social service model, residents versus clients. And we spent a little bit of time on being vulnerable, right? EMP hasn't always been perfect. We've gone through this evolution, right? We have grown and we continue to grow, right? We take this learning posture and we wanted to model that before you all and say, hey, we weren't always had it right. And we learned, right? And we're in this process of growing together. So we kind of share a little bit about the peer learning, right? How EMP has evolved over the course of 15 plus years and where we're at now. Yeah, so we have the notes and the slides from the first session. I know some of you folks were not on the first session. Excuse me. Feel free to hit us up after. We're more than happy to give you those resources. Daniel?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Honored and privileged to be here with you all today. So excited to see some of your names on there and where you're coming from. I think just one thing I want to highlight from our first session is in asset-based community development, we need to meet the goals and the deliverables of all of our different projects and assignments. That's a must, right? We have to do that in many regards. But at the center of it all is the resident, right? Is the human factor. And we had showed an asset map last session where it showed at the center of all of the work we do is the heart, right, of the individuals that we work with. And so, just want to recap. Let's remember and remind ourselves that the reason we're doing this is for the people, right? Those especially that are in the geographical space of which we have been assigned to do work. And that's all I got for a recap from last week. Excited to get into today.
All right, so I'm going to give us kind of the framework we're going to jump right in. So what we're going to do is something called a jigsaw model, and a jigsaw activity is an activity that allows you to become a content expert. So we have a one-pager that you're going to read, and you will become an expert in this field. So through your one-page paper, you will become an expert in asset mapping or learning conversations or community meetings. So you're going to read this article. We're going to give you about 5 minutes as a group to read an article, and then we're going to come back. So we're going to break you out. You're going to have some time to read and discuss with your breakout group, and then you're going to come back. We'll just touch base real quick, and then we'll send you out into new breakout groups. And these new breakout groups will be with folks that are not content experts. They do not know the thing you read, the thing you talked about, and you're going to need to educate them, right? You're going to need to help them understand. So this is just a way, this could be an activity that you use as a staff team. This could be activity you use with residents. It's a way to break down the fact that, some people feel like they have the power or the knowledge of the information. So again, we're going to split you into 3 groups. We'll give you 5 minutes in those groups to read your handout. I did put the links in the chat, and then your breakout host will also put those links in the chat. That way, they just have them for you, easy access. And I also emailed them. So I don't know if we had everybody's email, but we sent out an email about 15 minutes before we got started. Each of those handouts has a couple questions. And so you, at the end of reading it, as a group, you'll begin to just talk about those questions. And then you need to become prepared to share what you learned with your next group. So be thinking, okay, I'm going to be sharing this. How would I summarize this in my own words, right? You read a piece of paper, you heard people talk about it. How would you put it into your own words? And then we'll come back again, and then we'll break out into some new groups, and you'll share with your group. So that's the main kind of framework or the idea. Our 3 tools that were our 3 tools that we have for us are, I'm just going to walk through them just to give you a little quick snippet of it, is asset mapping. That's one of the tools that is really important for asset-based community development. And it's laying out who are the institutions, the associations, what's the culture, what are the places of exchange, what's the physical built presence in a neighborhood. This is a picture of one of the things we've done with Head, Heart, and Hands. It's residents in the neighborhood saying, here's the things I know, here's the things I love, here's the things I can do. And so that's an asset activity. Another one of the tools that a group is going to be learning about is learning conversations, one-on-ones, just sitting down with folks and doing learning conversations. So that's one of the tools as well. And then finally, another one is community meetings. And so we have a one that has a lot of broad different types of meetings that can happen. And so that's another, again, asset that or tool in the asset-based community development kind of toolkit. So again, just a couple people just came on. We're going to be splitting into groups. Your group leaders, again, walk over the assignments. Edmond and Daniel walk over those assignments. We'll take you 5 minutes to read, and then become prepared to share. All right. This is an adventure, right? Do this with us. We all figure this out together. So I'm going to break out here into 3 rooms, and make sure. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Yeah, hold on. Put myself on mute.
Breaking people up, it's always the worst. Sorry, guys. Great. So you guys are all experts. You've learned everything there is to learn about your subject material. No, of course not. The goal of this, though, is that you engage the material, right? You became more familiar maybe with somebody, or you heard a different perspective on your topic and area. So just kind of where we're at, you are going to now go into different groups. If you all could do me a favor in your, if you go to your name, if you hover over your name, you'll see some 3 dots there, and you can change your name. Just go ahead in your name, put the material you went through. So I'm gonna do mine right now. So I just changed my name to Andrew File and then put asset mapping. I'm gonna break you up into groups, and you may have a couple folks in your group that were with you. You guys could just tag team your area. But as you can see from this little graphic on the screen, you were in groups. Now you're gonna get mixed up. And you're gonna be with folks from all the different groups. So I'm gonna reassign your groups, and then you're gonna, go to the next slide here. You're going to share your tool. So everybody that was in an asset mapping conversation, you share about asset mapping. Then if you were a part of learning conversation, share about learning conversations. If you're a part of community meetings, share about community meetings. And you want to mute Jackie there. And then here's some questions. You know, what did you learn? How do these tools fit together? Is there, you know, now that you've heard from everybody, is there a tool that you want to learn more about or that you want to put into action? So again, this is more conversation together to learn and grow together. Any questions seeing that? No. All right. So,
Andrew, I have a question.
Yep.
We're going through this pretty quick. Are we going to be able to like get one-on-one, I don't know, over a review about this, or is this it?
Oh, no. Yeah, we'll talk through that at the end. That's really good. Gabriel, we'll talk through, you know, even from our last session, we had some folks that invited EMP to come share. So we can talk through that. That'll be in our next steps. All right.
Thank you.
So we're gonna do new groups. Be ready to share about your learning area. All right. Here we go. All right, Herman or Daniel, who's up?
Yes, I feel so honestly honored and privileged to be amongst a lot of experts this morning. So yeah, I wish I could see you all raise your hands, but anybody feel the tension of, you know, trying to learn something and then like teach something like right off the cuff, right? But that's the whole idea, right? Is that we would kind of be put in a place of shock and then have to regurgitate that information so that hopefully there's a sense of retention, right? Yeah, so that was really good. Anybody want to share maybe something that really stood out? We only have a few more minutes. But yeah, maybe sounds like an aha moment or something you would really like to begin doing as you engage your community in regards to asset-based community development.
I like Brian Henry's comment that we in our last group that we just had. We can do a whole lot of stuff without really doing much. Really, we could do pretty much. It's possible to do nothing while planning so many things, but really not accomplish anything. To be aware of that.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Vicencia. What group were you, or what was your assignment?
My assignment, the original, I was asset.
Okay, asset mapping.
Yeah, and then we just got out of the last group was what was it, Andrew?
You're all in it together.
So that was somebody all in it together. Asset mapping. Maybe somebody from learning conversations. Maybe something that stood out to you, or you want to begin to implement.
Hang on, I'm thinking. Hang on. I wasn't even in the conversation with the community meetings and stuff, but for me, I think learning how to organize those better, and because those are very important. And at our community center, we have quite a few community meetings along with the police department and that kind of stuff. And so, organizing those and making sure that those are productive, because people need to know that where you're going, what you're doing, there needs to be a purpose. If there's no purpose in anything, then people are lost. And so you need to have a purpose for everything we do.
Yeah, that's good. A purpose. I like what I heard somebody share, having ground rules and an icebreaker as a must. Like, how many meetings have we gone to that there is no icebreaker, right? Because that builds relationship, that builds trust. So good. Maybe somebody from, maybe one last comment, or we could even go into the questions here. How does this all fit together for you? Or what tool do you want to learn more about and put into action? And Germán, feel free to jump in at any moment, brother.
I'd love to see, like you're talking about some of those, like canvassing and the survey things. So obviously when I do a focus group or those types of things, and I even brought this up in our conversation, that 2 to 3 questions is the max you want to do, because you want to hear the residents. You truly want to give them opportunity to talk. If you do too many questions, it just seems to shut things down. So that's great. But community canvassing and surveying is a lot different. You're going to go and you're going to ask them, basically a survey. So more box checking. But I'd love to see some things that people have gone out and asked. Oh, look at there. Look at that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, April. Yeah. Thank you for that. So we do have some examples, living examples of living experiences on surveys and canvassing. So I was sharing with the last previous group, be on the lookout for an email, probably Thursday or Friday. We're going to send 2 additional tools with links and resources, canvassing and surveying. Reason why, because time constraint, but also we wanted to make a distinction between an ABC approach, right? An asset-based approach of being relational, looking for themes, concerns, aspirations, versus canvassing, which is a little more active driven. They're good. And how we use them, we've built into an asset-based approach to canvassing and surveys. So be on the lookout for that, and be on the lookout for probably April for our next workshop, our 301 workshop, and the transfer of leadership and power. That's what we're going to title it. What does that mean? What does that mean for us to say we're going to give up power? What does this mean to build a sustainable approach in communities? Power mapping. We'll share with you guys a neighborhood cycle. If you're getting to the next phase of neighborhood development and you're working with certain groups, what does it look like for phase 1 to model and coach these groups to become an association, right? Again, the idea is to build capacity for your organizations. 5 steps of community engagement processes, cohorts. What does it look like to start and launch a resident cohort? So that's session 3. We're working on some times and dates. We'll let you guys know for sure, but that's probably most likely in April or maybe late March.
And then maybe Edmond, if you want to answer Gabriel's question about, hey, this is great, obviously super quick. How do we learn more, have more conversations on it?
Yeah, for sure. So these workshops are designed intended just to give you a bird's eye view, a macro look on that micro aspect of walking and coaching. We're available. Gabriel, I know you can set up fairly well. Hit me up afterwards. We can schedule a meeting. I'll get more to weeds and details, and I'm also available to coach for any community meetings you may have, and that's available to everyone else in this group.
I think for me and for my organization, we dealt with all of Southeast. That's 160,000 people. I think what we have to change our thought of mind is not only the techniques, but the size, like a specific neighborhood instead of the whole 160,000 people. It's going to switch up kind of a little bit of the amount or the area we cover.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely coach you on that. I know Southeast pretty well. And in your region, which you cover is probably 15 neighborhoods, bro. That's a lot of neighborhoods. So maybe focusing on where you're anchored through most of your connectivity of initiatives, projects, workforce development, your engagement, then maybe we can start tailor toward those neighborhoods and building your capacity there. But we'll definitely talk offline.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it for us. So I really appreciate your all's time. And again, this is a starter course. This is not like to actually live this out as months and months of work. But we want to give you just a framework, and then EMP is here as a resource. Obviously, RD and Metro staff as well is here to really continue as a collaborative to grow and learn. And then even I think as you all have different canvassing or learning conversation or asset mapping questions, EMP's done some of it, but some of you all have done other, as a collaborative, we are better if we share the things we have done, the tools we have created, the spreadsheets. You don't need to recreate the spreadsheet, right? Somebody in this group has done it. And so let's share those resources together. And I think this is all part of this community transformation together. So blessings, y'all, and we'll have a great Wednesday? What's today? Wednesday. Yeah. Yes. See y'all.
Thank you, everyone, for what you said. Be safe.